Look, I have 3 participants, Josh Oritz and Yakov Haddad. How you guys doing?
Hey guys.
Ooh, I have a chat. Josh Oritz says he's doing well. Glad to hear that, Josh.
I'm gonna close it.
Yeah. What's up, Yakov? He says hi. All right, guys. We had 283 webinar registrants for this. How many do you think are going to join? We're going to have a contest. The winner gets some DealMachine swag. I think 80.
I said 94.
We have 12 so far, so that's good. It's 8 minutes early.
Wait, I need to make sure I can see his name.
Mark Hoops. He said I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Excellent. We always want to be 76. All right, David said.
Josh Oritz says 83. That's awfully close to what my guess is. Hey, what's up, Ryan?
What's up, bud?
Oh, nothing. We're just we're having a contest right now. And the winner gets some DealMachine swag.
Okay.
I said we had 283 registrants, so we're guessing how many people are going to show up.
Okay.
What's your guess?
283. I'm gonna go with 190.
Whoa.
Wow, that's significantly higher than anyone else's guess. I thought
I'm on here, so why would they not show up?
That's right, but they don't know you're on here.
That's fair.
I messed up and I didn't put that in the invite because that would have definitely helped out.
Hey, I follow you on Instagram.
Hey, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Doing good.
Anybody else?
Yeah, we got some. Eugene Park says 160. All right, so they're going up now that they heard your guess. Yakov says 50%. What is that? Oh yeah, 160 would be 50%.
No. It'd be less than that.
When I get on camera, I can't do math because I get nervous.
So it'd be 320 if 60% was 160.
That's true. Maybe Yakov was saying his guess was 50%. 283 divided by 2.
That's possible.
He says yes.
Sean's a good guy, Mark. Hope you enjoy it.
Say that again? Are you talking?
Mark posted that he bought Sean Terry's course yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
Sean's a good guy. Hope he likes it.
Absolutely.
Pretty nice day in Indy, isn't it?
Well, Ryan moved to California.
I'm in San Diego, so I couldn't.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't think I'll go back.
I don't blame you.
Do you have your house all situated? Because didn't you have an issue at first?
We had to move twice, but we're getting there.
Okay, gotcha. Well, what's your best protocol when you do a webinar? Should I send out one more email right now? So we're going to start.
Yeah, I mean, I would send like a, going live now kind of a deal. I don't think think that hurts.
You do these sometimes, right?
The ones that I do are more like they're less open.
Okay.
So it's more like people pre-register in advance and we have like 100% show up rate, but we typically have like 40 people on a call. So.
Okay, cool. Eugene says, will you be adding more marketing tools to the platform like text and ringless voicemail? Short answer is probably no. I know there's a lot of different technologies that can help real estate investors, but here at DealMachine, we kind of set up in advance that our mission is to help real estate investors get more deals, driving for dollars. So we're not going to, have like websites or like other tools, but we want to make DealMachine very easy, for you to connect to those other tools that you use because we don't want to get distracted. And I feel like if we did a lot of tools, then we would not have really good tools. They would be just okay tools. You know what I mean?
There's also like any of you guys that are contemplating RVM or text message blasting, like I get it. It's cheap, it's sexy, but you should really look into the legalities of it. I have a couple friends currently, like personal people I know that are in the middle of 6-figure lawsuits over RVMs and text messages, with like attorney generals involved and all kinds of fun stuff. So anytime you're going to launch a new marketing strategy, just, it's kind of like bandit signs, right? Everybody does them. Only some people get caught. But if you're the guy that gets caught and your county decides to fine you $500 a sign and you've got 100 of them out, it's a bad day. So
yeah, I think that they do bring back a lot of deals. But we recently joined the Collective Genius Mastermind, and I think everybody who cold calls, everybody in that group's, kind of like a bigger investor. And when you talk to them, like lawsuits are just kind of part of their business if they're doing cold calling or text messaging that they kind of plan for. Okay. I am excited. I see Jordan is also on the webinar. Hello, Jordan. And then he's going to come in to play here in a little bit because he's on Ryan's team. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, I've got a guest with me, guys. I'm going to introduce him in a second. But first, while people are continuing to join, I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of background about what this webinar is going to contain, and some information about, who I am if you guys don't know already. And then we'll keep going. So this is called the Ballpoint Method. DealMachine actually just came out with some brand new mail pieces, and they're written with a ballpoint pen, and they're not inkjet printed on the envelope like the postcards are. But the envelope is actually written with a ballpoint pen. So we're going to tell you how that's going to get you guys a higher response rate, and also save you some money on your marketing expenses, and what those look like and what you can expect. So my name, of course, is David. And so I wanted to walk you through kind of my beginning story, so you've got some context for where this fits in the whole timeline and why we just launched this. I'm actually a real estate investor in Indianapolis. I got my start in 2016, and today I have 5 rental properties, and I'm actually closing on my 6th house on Friday. So it's something that I'm passionate about. It's why I built DealMachine in the first place, was to acquire rental properties and build passive income for myself. And so I still do that. Even though DealMachine's obviously taken off and I focus on that for most of the time now, I haven't given up on the rental property investing, because that's what I wanted to do. And so I started out because I read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about. So say yes in the chat if you guys also have read this book. I'm curious.
I just made my 18-year-old brother read it yesterday. And like, he comes in the next day and is like, so how do I buy assets? And I was like, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, and quick update. There's 72 people here. So we're getting close. We'll see at the very end. But we had a contest at the beginning of who could guess closest how many people would join. So this is good stuff. Okay, I see a lot of people. Carl says a long time ago. Josh says he's close to guessing how many people. And then Aladdin says he read it multiple times. And let's see. So got a lot of people have read this book. I actually also played the cash flow game. And that was really even more impactful for me than the book, because you're on this board game and you're on the little circle inside. And the whole thing, you start out as like a doctor or a janitor or somewhere in between on like your income scale. And you want to save money from your job to get out of the rat race. And so you do that by investing in things. You can invest in stocks. You can buy a rental property. And the rental property was like, oh, as soon as I buy this cash flowing rental, it moves my passive income meter and I get closer to escaping the rat race. And where a stock was like more chance, I couldn't really count on that. So that's why I got excited about rental properties, was this cash flow game. So I kind of pictured, like once I get out of the rat race, I'll have all this time to do all this fun stuff. This was some of the fun stuff I had done previously. On the left is like South Korea. And then the 2 on the right was like, I got to climb Mount Rainier. I still think that's one of the coolest things I've ever done. And anybody can do it. It's just like, it was like a 15-hour climb, really, really cool equipment that you get to use, but it's not too hard, that like a beginner couldn't make it. Going back to when I started out, it was in 2016, and I saw this house, and it was on like in Indianapolis on like the 23rd block of College, somewhere right around there. And it was run down. Okay. So I was starting out driving for dollars, trying to find a property that could cash flow. And I wrote it down. But when I drove by a few weeks later, like 3 weeks later, I noticed there was some guys out there that had taken the boards off, looked like they were going to start construction. So I was just like, man, I didn't even follow up and reach out yet. So I looked down at my addresses sitting on my passenger seat. There they were. This is, of course, recreated for special effect, but it looked pretty much like this. And I was just like, dude, I didn't even follow up yet, and somebody else has got to this deal for me. They had actually bought it recently. So I went straight home and I used this great website from the Marion County, Indianapolis website to look up all these property owners. And when I say great, I mean, it's actually pretty difficult to do a lot of these lookups. It generates a PDF and you've got to copy that exact line. And I was putting them in an Excel spreadsheet. So it's pretty time consuming. And if you've heard me tell the story before, I had Friends on. So it was 3 episodes of Friends, which is about an hour and a half to look up 40 properties. I wanted to make sure my mail was going to get the best response rate though, because, and that's a theme of this webinar, is if I put all that time in to drive, right? A few hours of driving and then an hour and a half of looking up stuff on this website. I wanted the very best chance for that homeowner to feel comfortable calling me. So I wanted to stand out. If they were getting other mail from other investors, I wanted to be the one that they called. So I was putting a picture on my envelopes and I was printing those at home, because you can't do one-off mail very easily prior to DealMachine. But because a lot of these online mail houses that'll send mail for you, they've got a minimum of several hundred pieces. So I was doing this at home. And then I knew from attending real estate meetups here in town that you've got to follow up, and it's really important to follow up. And I'm sure Ryan has some stories about following up that has gotten him some deals, which I'll let him tell in a second. But several of my deals, they came from the seventh some odd postcard. And so, that was really important to me because that's what I was learning at the time. So I knew I failed to even send the first postcard. So I was like, I need to change up how I'm operating. And so that's whenever I made this app for myself. It was not available in 2016 and it didn't look good, but it did the stuff. It looked up the owner name and then it would basically just send a postcard automatically. So I wouldn't forget to do it when I was right in front of a house. And so of course today it does some of these other bullet points too, which are helpful when you're looking at a house. If you see they've got a outrageous mortgage or something, you probably don't want to waste time sending mail to it. Or if they just bought it, for example, you probably don't want to waste money sending mail to it. So the app tells you all this right when you're in front of a house in about 7 seconds, as you guys know, and then you can send mailers. So moving along the timeline, I did eventually put it on the App Store. In 2018, we had an awesome year. There was 40,000 downloads. Of course, that's not just investors, but that's investors hiring team members to drive for them, which is very key to scaling up, your driving for dollars as you start doing more deals. And then in April this year, we had our 1,000,000th property added, which was mind blowing. Because I remember I just built this app for me. I was just looking for one, trying to solve my own follow-up problem. So you guys are awesome for getting out there and doing a lot of the work. And it's allowed us to continue serving you. My business partner is down here in the bottom left, Dave. And then we've got Josh as a minor partner too. And every member of this team is just incredible, family. And I hope you guys feel like family as DealMachine members, because that's how we feel about you and how we want you to feel when you're interacting with everybody. And we've got Elise back here in the office. Say hi, Elise. Just so you guys can see the faces that you talk with. So on the theme of getting a better response rate, okay? And we listen to you. So a lot of this stuff on this page right here is a website, if you don't know, where you guys tell us what to build. And the URL is up there in the screenshot. It's dealmachine.featureupvote.com. And so yeah, I wanted to show you guys this because that's where this little update's coming from, and I'll explain. So another thing we heard often was like, you guys want cheaper mail because the deal credits that you use to send mail, the postcards, are 99 cents, right? And then if you look at like a bulk mail provider, you can get the cost down quite a bit. But again, you have to send out a lot of mail. And so we wanted to give you an option to, reduce your marketing costs, but still be able to send off those one-off postcards. So here's why you're driving for dollars. So like in your market, or say an average market, we'll talk about Indianapolis. If you want to get one deal, a lot of times the number looks like sending 1,000 pieces to some marketing list that you pull. And then you're sending it in bulk. Maybe you're sending yellow letters, and those are 79 cents each. So your marketing cost to get one deal is about $2,500. So if you drive for dollars, you can actually get that down. And you guys already know this because you are driving for dollars. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but it takes less houses. If you're finding and looking for distressed houses, it takes less houses that you have to mail in order to actually get a deal. So even though the mail is more expensive, it's still reducing your marketing costs. So $600 to get your first deal. And of course, this is just like an average. It's what we've learned from working with all these thousands of investors who are driving for dollars and who are doing bulk mail at scale. And so I wanted to share this with you guys, not because your numbers will look exactly the same, but so like this is at least what it takes if you're doing either of these marketing strategies. So if you're wanting to get deals for less money, you are driving for dollars and you're sending mail. Let's talk about getting your costs down even further, okay? And we've got a guest. You guys haven't noticed. His name's Ryan Dawsey. And Ryan had become my friend over the last year or two because he runs a large wholesaling operation here in Indianapolis. But not only does he wholesale, but they also have taken down over 100 rental properties. And Ryan sends a lot of these ballpoint letters. So I want to just kind of let you take it from here, Ryan, and talk about what is your background and what are some of the results you've gotten from these ballpoint letters.
Yeah, thanks, man. So for any of you guys who don't know me, I am Ryan Dawsey. I'm the founder of Ballpoint Marketing, who's fulfilling these pieces for David's group. And I also own Call Porter, US-based answering service. On top of that, though, similar to David, I'm not somebody who decided to launch products to this particular niche. Call Porter started because I was dropping my own calls. Ballpoint started because, quite frankly, yellow letters sucked. So it was kind of like, I evolved these things similar to how David did, and now we've built it into what we've built it. So quick backstory on me, just to kind of show you guys the timeline. I started back in 2013, 14, and just kind of treated it as a side hustle. Hustle is a kind term. I pretty much just didn't really try that much and got a couple deals. 2016, I went full-time as an investor. I only did 6 deals, barely paid my bills, kind of doggy paddled above water. 2017, that was where stuff really started to click for me. So 2017, I did 74 wholesale deals and bought 4 rental properties. In 2018, we did right at about 3 dozen wholesale deals and kept 73 units for our portfolio. So far, year to date, we've closed on another 70 units. So I'm 25 right now and own right at about $9 million worth of rental properties. That's just in Indianapolis. It's funny because for any of you guys who were maybe raised a little bit more conservative, like I was, you're not really supposed to talk about money, or you're not supposed to it's not something we talk about I've talked about my parents with extensively. And my dad actually listened to my Bigger Pockets podcast, which I don't even think I told them I was on. And he was like, "So you're a millionaire now? That's weird." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." It's kind of I'm still me. I'm still just a normal guy, right? So I get a kick out of when people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's great to meet you." And it's I'm just a normal person, right? So that being said, Ballpoint marketing, what is it? How does it work? So we've got an army of robots that basically hold pens and handwrite in cursive. The machines are ridiculously expensive. The group who sells them, their largest client is the United States government. So they're actually not supposed to sell anybody more than one or two. Let's just say I know the owner, and some exceptions were made. So that's how we're able to do these at the scale that we are. And this honestly for like 2017, 18 was my like big secret. Nobody even knew that this was something I was doing or was capable of doing. And I hired a guy to kind of run it for me, Jordan Coffey, who's on here. And I was told Jordan, like, hey, you get to this certain point and we'll publicly start to talk about it. And I didn't really want to talk about it. I was kind of like, this is my secret. And I gave Jordan a goal that was something that I was like, this is going to take him like a year. And he did it in like 45 days. So I was like, crap, well, I've got to honor my word now and push this out for him. As the CEO of that business, he's earned it. And so we've now kind of released it into the wild. It's been really, really neat just to kind of get feedback from clients, opportunity to work with DealMachine. And this is what I'm doing, every single month for my personal marketing as well. So I'm going to give you guys an example of ballpoint marketing versus postcards and why this is going to make a lot of sense for you guys to go with this more expensive option. And I know this sounds kind of counterintuitive, and I'm going to prove it. So I'm not just like, spend money with us. Like, there's a reason behind this. So traditional logic school of thought tells us that postcards are cheaper. I can get in front of 3 times as many people if I'm using like bulk mail. So, obviously I'm going to get more deals, right? Not really the case. So the problem with postcards, the vast majority of people throw them away, right? Now, DealMachine stuff stands out from like the typical crap that most investors are pushing, which quite frankly is why they've blown up and why all you guys are here, right? If people weren't getting results, none of us would even be on this call. So we split tested postcards versus what I do with a friend and client of mine down in Orlando, Florida last year. This wasn't a cheap test. We didn't spend 10 grand and come back with like, okay, this works better. We spent $250,000, 125 grand on ballpoint marketing, 125 grand on like street view postcards, third notice postcards, all the like crap you see people normally telling you to do. Our hypothesis going into this was like, he's going to get more deals off the postcards because he's getting in front of 3 times as many people. His cost per acquisition on the postcards, so how much money he had to spend on postcards to get a deal, was $7,000. $7,000. His cost with ballpoint was under 3, right? So even though it was 3 times the cost per piece, he popped off 42 deals on 125 grand. I don't know about you guys, but David had up there the number of 10,000 on a wholesale deal. My average is over 15. I've got one closing by the end of this month that will make 36 grand on. We have those pretty often, honestly. So even 10, I think, is pretty conservative, but just kind of goes to show you, and that's to like bulk lists. That's to you're going to buy a list of absentee owners or something like that. That's not driving for dollars, kind of this niche list that works even better. So if you kind of look at those metrics David posted, cost per acquisition was under half of what it was on postcards. So this is something new we're rolling out for you guys. So obviously we'll have more data as we go, but if that holds anywhere near true to what we've seen, this is going to be insane for some of you guys. I would have killed to have options like this when I was just starting. When I was just starting, somebody, I'll call him a tool because that's the appropriate name, charged me $1.25 per piece for yellow letters that I had to hand insert, hand seal myself. Like, what? That is awful. And it didn't really work, which is how we ultimately stumbled into what we do now. Can I repeat the split test data? Yeah. So 250,000 was spent on marketing in Orlando, Florida in 2018. 125 grand on Ballpoint marketing letters, 125 grand on postcards. Cost per acquisition on postcards was over 7,000. Cost per acquisition on Ballpoint was under 2,900. So pretty nuts. David, if you don't mind, I'm going to screen share and show people a deal that I literally had closed yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to teach you guys how I move the vast majority of my deals. And this isn't something I've heard anybody else talk about. So, if you're here, enjoy, because it's not something I've shared publicly really anywhere. Okay. Everybody familiar with this? It's Podio, right? Vast majority of investors, this is the CRM we use. This is Call Porter's Podio space. So you can see here, these are the initial notes from when the call came in. So this was a really unique deal. Reason being is owner occupied, and it was kind of out in the country. For anybody familiar with Indianapolis, it's in Brownsburg. So kind of out in the sticks a little bit. And it was kind of like, it was really hard to comp out. Comps were like 190 to 400,000 with like not a ton of wiggle room for why. It wasn't like, oh, this one had more square footage. It was like square footage was the same, lot size was the same, prices were just all over the place. So this particular deal obviously wouldn't make sense for a buy and hold investor, right? It was going to have to go to an owner occupant. Now I'll show you guys pictures of the deal. Pro tip, anytime you run an appointment, we use Google Photos because it's super easy to share. You should have anywhere from like 50 to 100 photos of your deals and simply send investors the link to your Google Photos for that particular deal. Reason being, it's super easy for them to go through and look at, but by doing this, I'm able to sell probably 50% of my deals without us even having to do showings. So if you're a new wholesaler and you're kind of freaked out about like showing a tenant occupied property, if you provide good enough details and take good enough pictures, you may not even have to. So I'll just kind of peruse through these pretty quick. Big thing you're going to see is just, this is a pretty solid house. Granite, stainless steel appliances, kind of some goofy hardwood, tile backsplash, nice kind of 4-season room. Pro tip, don't get your sellers in your pictures. That's one of our rules. I'm guessing we missed it because she was standing outside, but that's just weird. So kind of 4 Seasons area, you can see you kind of need some screen work, a little bit of woodwork done, but for the most part, kind of a brick and wood house. Needs some work, right? There's some dry rot, some mold and stuff, but pretty good looking property. It was on about an acre. It's fully fenced. So I shot this out to my list like we normally do. Hey, anybody want this thing? And everybody was like, no, like literally crickets, right? So, typically if that happens when you send out a deal, you didn't price it right. Like you didn't estimate for the correct amount of repairs, or you overestimated comps, something of that nature. We were pretty confident in how we priced it, with the exception of kind of these particular, the comps being pretty variable. And I'll walk you guys through what those look like here in a second. So, pretty solid house, owner occupied, seniors had been there a while. You can see, they kept it pretty clean for the most part. Nothing like super substantial, a lot of junk everywhere, but 3-car garage, brick front, needs a little bit of work, but nothing too major, right? So, how do you move a deal like this? So this particular one, all right, I'm just going to tell you. So we pulled a list off the MLS of real estate brokers that had sold a property in that area in the past year. As you can see, this isn't very many. It's only 96 people, right? And the amount of data the MLS gives us is insane. So I'm a licensed real estate broker, which is how I'm able to get this. Get licensed, get set up as somebody's unlicensed assistant, or have a buddy who will download this kind of stuff for you. Now, some MLSs will give you this data, others will not. Big thing this gave us is the listing and selling agent names and emails, right? So we went through emailed these people and sent them pretty much something that was like this: Brownsburg retail deal, discounted, check it out. Here's our asking price. We'll pay you a 4% BAC. They normally get 2.5 to 3. So we do bribe them a little bit, and blasted it out to those 95 people. Now, we had a decent response rate, like several people super interested. But one of the folks who got back to us said, hey, I want to buy the house for my parents. I'll pay cash, close in like 60 days. I just want to do a walkthrough. I don't need a full-blown inspection. I'll take it, right? So this deal closed yesterday, and we made, let's see, $19,275.50. Now, this was a deal we didn't think we could do anything with. The reason we chose to actually go under contract on it, comps were all over the place, but within a mile, there was nothing listed for under 300K, and we got it for 200. So I was like, I mean, this isn't conventional. It's not typical, but let's give it a shot. Now, that same method I use of pulling sold deals from agents in those zip codes. We had another deal we got under contract last week, Vinyl Village, not at 75% minus repairs, minus what we hope to make, which is where I'm at. I think it was about 80% was the guy's mortgage balance, and that was all he would do. Shot it out to our list. We had like 10 people kind of interested, nothing really. Downloaded a list of 367 brokers who'd done deals in there, blasted it out to them. And we had 62 phone calls in 2 hours, 40 people that wanted to see it. And we're currently have people like bidding, fighting over it. We'll probably make 15 to 20 on that one. If you're on my buyers list or on that broker's list and on this webinar, sorry, right? You now know what I marked it up. So yeah, David just kind of asked me to do this, give you guys a little bit of a background, and I wanted to add like some real value on real deals that we're doing that are getting done. One kind of thing I'll point out that I think is a challenge for a lot of DealMachine users and just investors in general, this stuff can take time, guys. This isn't like you add 100 properties, mail them once, and you're going to be driving a Lambo. Like, you know, it's comical. I've had people reach out, be like, well, so-and-so started 3 months ago and he has a Lambo. And my reply is like, oh, that's cool. We'll see if he's still here in 3 months. Right. So that deal I showed you guys, the one in Brownsburg that we kind of flicked through all the pictures on, took 3 months from the time the lead came in till we were able to sell it. Right. So don't give up on this. Like, this isn't a get rich quick. We tell people, even with buy and hold investing, it's get rich slow, but it's not that slow. Right. So, be consistent. The numbers that they throw out for you guys to hit, like I tell most of the people that I work with, like I want them to be at 2,500 people that they're mailing monthly in order to expect a couple deals a month. Realistically, if you guys have got like 300 deals in there and you're like, oh, I've spent $900, this is BS. This may not be the game for you, right? Like, it does unfortunately take money to make money. However, DealMachine has lowered the cost of entry into this so stupidly for you guys. Like my first deal, I put $3,000 on a credit card I couldn't afford to pay off without telling my newly married wife. I was making 23 grand a year and I got one deal off of that $3,000. Now, like, don't get me wrong. It's not bad. We made 12K, paid off the credit card, and then had to go tell my wife that I'd maxed out my credit card. We're still married, so it worked, but, it took some time, some investment, and, don't give up on it. I know a lot of the times it's easy to like see everybody else winning and think that for some reason it's different for you or it's different for your market. As entrepreneurs, we're all super emotional. We all like to like, oh, this won't work in my market. You don't understand. I had somebody who was in a town of like 5,000 people tell me that I didn't understand how competitive their market was. And I was like, dude, there's probably like 2 home buyers. Your market's not that competitive. Now, if you're in like downtown LA, you've got a little bit more room to complain, but like, I know people in some of the hottest markets in the country popping off a couple hundred deals a year. that are in Collective Genius with David and I, right? So I'll get off my soapbox. David, you want to do like some Q&A or?
Yeah, I've got a couple things, but I wanted to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah, hit me.
So really cool hack. You said you have access to the MLS. So you pulled a list of people who had sold a house recently, agents who had sold a house recently in that area, right?
Correct. So the MLS will allow you to run a search for sold properties within a zip code or within a radius of an address. We do the zip code and we go back a year.
Okay. So if somebody is like working with an agent, or can somebody like pay an agent to do this for them if they don't have access to the MLS?
I mean, it all depends on how cool your agent is,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
Like I would do it for you. You know, they're not like, I don't know, like I'm a licensed real estate broker.
Gotcha. Okay.
Most brokers are kind of weird. They'll be like, oh my gosh, that's confidential information.
Right.
It's
I get
really
that.
not. Like it's, so it doesn't hurt to ask is what I would say.
And then you said 4% BAC. Now I assume, does that mean
Buyer's
what
agent
the agent
commission.
would make
Correct.
helping you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's what's really fun on like low end hood houses. I'll send out, we're going to pay a 12% BAC. You think I got those people's attention?
Yeah,
right?
but they're lower price homes too, right?
Correct. But keep in mind, these are people that are moving deals in the hood for 3% of a $30,000 house to make $900. And I tell them, hey,
It's not worth their time unless you bump that percentage up.
well, I mean, they think it's worth their time. So when I come along and tell them I'm going to pay them $3,000, they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to sell this thing. I mean, it's hitting the lottery, right?
Yeah. Cool. I like that you had the seller's dog in there too. I don't know. That might help. People really like dogs.
I didn't even see it. Yeah. Be careful. Like try to look back through your photos. Sometimes people have really weird stuff that like, we won't get into any details on here because we're all adults, but stuff you may not want to send out to a couple thousand people.
For sure. Double check those photos. But I think the photos are pretty important. Like you said.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, our rule of thumb in our office is every major system. So HVAC, AC, water heater, all bedrooms, all bathrooms, roof, all sides of the house, and then anything that's weird. So if there's like a mold spot, a wet spot in the ceiling, the reason you do that is people aren't going to look at your deal and then be like, oh my gosh, he left all this stuff out. They're going to be like, well, if he put all that in there, he's obviously not hiding anything, right?
For sure.
So, where a lot of people struggle to move deals, first off, they don't price them right. Or second off, they send it out with like 6 pictures and it's like the best of the best, not what it really looks like.
Yeah.
Sydney, do I do videos? No, I don't do videos. Nobody wants to watch you do a video walkthrough. Anytime anybody sends me a video, I don't even watch it. I'll look at the pictures. It's just, they're never done well. Lighting's always bad. And it's like, I'm not going to sit here for 17 minutes. So people are impatient. It's 2019. Send them a crap load of pictures. Send them details on it. And like I said, a decent amount of our deals, we don't even have to do showings or walkthroughs on.
Mm-hmm. How many of you guys, if you want, I can show you how to actually get the ballpoint pieces in your DealMachine app. Can you guys hit the chat if you guys would like me to show you that? I'm trying to bring up the chat.
Eric, 360-degree video, maybe. We've done 360-degree like pictures, and we just didn't really find it really made that big of a difference.
Okay.
It's cool looking though.
All right, Dan and Fred, they're saying yes. Philip saying yes. Kevin saying show it. All right, so I'm going to show you guys. I got a quick little video in this presentation. And then first I'll show you the pricing too. So in order to get access to the ballpoint pieces, hang on a second. There we go. There we go. Is an add-on. So it's called Mailer Pro. It is $50 a month. It makes your deal credits, instead of 99 cents, it makes it 49 cents. So even for your regular postcards that you're sending, if you're sending over 100 of those postcards, this is going to save you a lot of money because the price of the postcards is 49 cents. In addition to that, it gives you access to the ballpoint mail pieces. those are 3 deal credits. So the actual cost would be $1.47 for a ballpoint mail piece sent through DealMachine. And then in the app, this video shows you how to create a ballpoint mail piece. You go to the templates area, scroll all the way down, and you click on create new template, click on the ballpoint letter. We may have multiple options. So the first option that we are offering currently is the ballpoint pen envelope. So the envelope's written with that ballpoint letter. And now you have a new template you can assign to individual deals. And that's what it looks like. The letter part inside actually has a photo of the house superimposed behind it and your photo. So that way, when you're adding pictures to your DealMachine deals, it's still being used on this mail piece, which is awesome. And we recommend one use that we wanted to show you guys is actually creating a campaign. So a campaign in DealMachine goes beyond just repeating the same piece of mail. It actually will let you change up the sequence of mail that goes out for each deal, and each deal will have its own schedule depending on when you add it. So for example, the ballpoint pieces are a little bit more expensive. Let's say you wanted to mix that with your postcard outreach over a year-long period. So you could say the first step is a ballpoint letter, then I'm going to send a few postcards 3 times, and then the third step is going to be the next piece of mail will be a ballpoint letter. That's what I'm creating here in this example. And then you'll finish it off with a few more postcards. And then you could save that campaign, and any deals that you add could have that mixed mail piece. So that way you can find the right balance for the budget that you're working within. And of course, these ballpoint pieces, as Ryan's case study showed, really do stand out even more than the DealMachine postcards. And so, like Ryan was saying, if that shows the same use case that their case study does, it's going to save you a lot of money as well by using those ballpoint pieces. So the call to action on this webinar is lower your marketing expenses when you get the Mailer Pro add-on and have access to those ballpoint pieces, and then cut your deal credit costs in half, which is going to pay itself back after you send 100 postcards a month. And so I'd love to spend the rest of the time just answering Q&A for Ryan, or if you have any questions about the app for me, I can answer those for you guys. Okay, so Sydney's saying, is the additional $50 per month on top of the monthly subscription fee? And it is. So again, it's going to be an additional cost that's going to pay itself back if you're sending more than 100 pieces per month. And then a lot of people send a lot more than that. So it's obviously going to save you a lot of money sending any more than 100 postcards per month as well.
How do I get a sweet beard like Ryan's?
Yeah, somebody said they have a beard envy, which is not something I was expecting to hear on the call.
On my Bigger Pockets podcast, some girl said I was man pretty, which can't be something I've ever been called. I was like, I'm going to take that as a compliment. Problem is, if I don't have a beard, I look literally like I'm 9 years old. I clean shaved about a year ago, and I got carded to see an R-rated movie.
Oh,
that's hilarious.
Here with my wife. Like, of course I'm old enough to see this. And the guy was like, I'm going to need to see some ID, pal. So cons.
I look like a baby too. I just turned 30. But I shaved today because when I grow my beard out for more than 3 days, it gets itchy. Did you ever have that problem?
My problem, if I shave, I get itchy. So.
Okay. Well, we all have our own thing.
Yep.
Finnote, I hope I'm saying your name right, said he just got his second contract off DealMachine, and he's at 220 properties. Phil, that is awesome. We're going to send you a DealMachine hat and would love to do a call with you, a one-on-one call to talk about that deal.
Eugene Parks, my office is based out of Indianapolis as well. I live in San Diego, but we're out of Indianapolis. Can you upload the same custom photos to the ballpoint letters as well as the postcards? Yeah, that's done automatically.
Yeah.
I arrived late. Will the video repeat? I don't think so, but I think David, if the recording worked, is going to send that out. So
correct. Okay, so Jeff Abramson, there's some general questions in the actual Q&A, so I'm going to answer a couple of those. Jeff Abramson says, is the mortgage amount the initial mortgage amount in the DealMachine app? Yeah, it is. So it's going to show you the initial mortgage amount. So you can look at like what the sale price was or what you think the property's worth now to see where they might be at that point. Second mortgages do show up there as well. So keep that in mind. Warner says, does every investor run title before buying the property, or do they sometimes not do it? So I think if you're wholesaling, typically the wholesaler wouldn't run the title, but whoever is buying the actual property would. Maybe Ryan can shed some example. Have you ever worked with a cash buyer who doesn't run title?
No, it's a really good way to go broke. You also can get yourself into some hot water there. Always run title searches. A buddy of mine did a quick claim deed on a house, and the HOA had $100,000 lien out on the property, that because he had the seller quick claim it to him, that lien became his because he's now in the chain of title. And they've been trying to fight that for about a year, and the HOA is not interested in settling. So always run title. We only ever do general warranty deeds. We don't do special or anything like that. Andrea asks, is there a picture on the letters written by the pens? That would look awful. No. So,
or like a sketched photo.
Yeah. So the actual picture you took is in the resolution is superimposed under the text. So, your actual image is there, not something like that the pens tried to draw.
So if you're a wholesaler though, do you guys run title on the properties you're going to wholesale? Just quick clarification on that.
So the vast majority of our wholesale deals, we double close.
Okay. So you are running title.
Even if you're doing an assignment, they're going to run title. Ideally, unless your buyer is kind of dumb. But,
yeah.
No, we primarily double close just because people get weird when they start to count your money versus what they hope to make. So yeah.
Angie asks, what's the time frame for the cards to be sent out? So for our normal post, the ballpoint pieces and our testing are a little bit faster than the postcards. And so the reason why is these ballpoint pieces have an actual stamp. The postcards are barcoded mail, and it seems that like the actual stamp pieces will move through the mail system maybe a day sooner. What are you experiencing with that, Ryan?
I've actually seen a lot faster. On like pre-sorted, pre-canceled, we've had to wait as much as 2 weeks. These are full 55-cent first-class stamps, which typically get there in like 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
So I would say with our turnaround time we have with David, about a week.
Oh, okay. So Tim Roberts asked a good question. He goes, what's the difference between ballpoint pieces through DealMachine or going directly with your company, Ryan?
Good question. We don't allow anybody to send us pictures of houses except through DealMachine. So that's a huge piece that helps you stand out. The other piece is we've got some pretty high minimums if you come to us directly. So I think our current minimum is 1,000 pieces. It's different techniques, right? I think your best option is use the ball machine pieces through DealMachine, use the ballpoint pieces through DealMachine. And then if you're doing other mailing on top of that, give it a shot and see if you get better results.
Chad Nemick says, are the postcards, when dropped to the 49-cent price point, still sent first class? Yes, they're the exact same postcards in tracking that you get in the app. So if you guys don't know this, when you open up the DealMachine app, you can go to a deal and it says when the postcards are expected to be delivered and when they get scanned at the local area postal center, post office, they get that shows up in the app too. So if you guys didn't know that, the tracking feature is pretty cool. With the ballpoint pieces, they're not tracked because they're not scanned with a barcode, but we still give you an estimate in that same spot, which is the activities, messages, and notes slider on when you're inside of a deal.
Yeah, you kind of ruin like the benefit of having it written with pens if there's also like a big old printed barcode on it. So that's why we don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Eric says, will the Mail Pro be available to purchase one time like the route tracking was on the webinar? So there's not like a purchase link or anything on this webinar. You just go into your app, create the ballpoint piece, and you'll have the option to get the Mailer Pro add-on there. If you do want a discount though, if you're on the annual billing option for your DealMachine plan, your add-on will also be annually purchased, and you get 2 months free when you do that. Got a couple DealMachine app questions. I'm going to scan through real quick to see if there's any Ballpoint specific ones or ones for Ryan while he's here. Does the Ballpoint pen marketing?
Sean, does it have to be written in cursive? Yes. Yeah. The more has to do on the technical side on our end of the print takes a lot longer and doesn't look as good in our opinion. Not to mention, like, we get calls from sellers all the time in my personal market that will they'll literally be like, hey, I'm not interested. We had one literally last week. Hey, I'm not interested in selling, but I was a school teacher for 42 years. You have beautiful handwriting. Sweet. Ryan, does that mean they are giving full disclosure to the seller and buyer? Eugene, I'm not grasping your question.
Real quick, guys. So this webinar is all about the Ballpoint pieces. I'll let Ryan jump off and I'll specifically answer the DealMachine questions. So if you have any other questions for Ryan specifically, please ask those now.
David, how many would you recommend in a campaign sequence? I think what we're currently recommending to people is start with the Ballpoint and then move to postcards after that. So obviously you can test it on your own. Like if you really like the Ballpoint pieces, you can do like just those. I mean, that would be your campaign, would be those through the app. Can the machine do smiley faces without breaking? It can do like the first kind you did, but not the like drawing circle with the eyes and mouth.
Like an
tip,
actual emoji.
If your wife knows you have these, having it write her a love letter doesn't really work.
Oh my gosh.
She was like, you machined this. And I was like, I did.
I did.
I mean, I was trying to be funny, but okay, Eugene, Chicago title. Yeah, so you may want to look for a different title company. A lot of title companies will allow a simultaneous closing in which the initial transaction can be closed with the second party's funds. Otherwise, you need to look into like gap funding, which is where somebody will shoot in for the day. Any choice in pen colors or does signature to be a different color? No, we just use blue. We've tried red, we've tried green, we've tried black. Blue just looks the best. It also looks the most real. Black can start to look like a font. Red doesn't typically have like a great, the only time you ever get like red written on something is like a fail back in like school, right? Big old circle around it. Just doesn't really have great, doesn't have great impression.
Okay, so one last question for you guys. How did you guys like the example that Ryan provided in like the Q&A? Basically, would you like to have additional like webinars weekly or bi-weekly with an expert like Ryan, where you guys as DealMachine members get to come in exclusively and just ask them any specific questions you're working on? Let me know if you guys would be excited about that. Ryan, there's a lot of fans. They really like that stuff that you shared.
That's ideal.
AJ really likes it too.
Awesome. Great. So it seems like there's, let's see. Oh, yeah. It seems like there's just a lot of positive response to that. So I will see what I can do about bringing Ryan back for another general, real estate investor, pick my brain type webinar. And I'll get back with you guys if we can set something like that up. Ryan, thank you so much for doing this webinar today. And I hope that we get to see your face again really soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Excited for people to get some results with these letters.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been fun. Yeah, happy to hop back on again. It's always fun to talk shop.
Absolutely. So feel free to drop off. I'm going to sit here and answer there's a lot of DealMachine specific questions that I want to try to answer since I got people on here. But, and like I said, you're welcome to hang out, or if you got something at 2:00 Eastern time, feel free to jump off. Thanks again, Ryan.
Yeah, not a problem, man. I'm gonna dip out, guys. I've got another call I've got to get ready for, but appreciate the opportunity. Any of you guys that are interested in connecting further, just hit me through Instagram is really where I'm active online.
Yeah, there it is on the screen, guys.
Yeah, there you go. All right, y'all have a good day. David, appreciate the opportunity. David's team, nice to get to meet you guys a little bit more than I already have.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Bye. Okay, so here comes some of these deal machines. You want to answer these with me?
Yeah.
All right. You want to pull up a chair? Oops.
Guys, I've just been in the background. I want to be in.
This is Elise, everybody who just joined late. Elise is our customer success manager. So it's her job to make sure that you guys are being successful. And what else do you do that they should know? You talk with her in the app sometimes with the chats.
I talk with you a lot.
Yeah.
What you got?
I'm finding a good one. Oh, Martin Thompson. Sorry, he said, quick recap of the new offer. Been getting calls during the webinar. So basically, we just wanted you to know that sending out a better, more personal mail piece can actually give you a higher response rate. And even though those pieces might cost a little bit more, it can overall reduce your cost to get a deal. And so we've introduced these ballpoint mail pieces where the envelope's written with a pen. And in order to get access to those and use them, you need this Mailer Pro add-on, which also reduces your postcard costs and your enhanced search costs by 50%. It makes the deal credits 49 cents. And then you get access to these ballpoint pieces, which will cost 3 deal credits, which would be 147 at this new pricing.
Yes.
Okay, Steve Chang says, I'm new to the app. Is there a quick video to show me how to create a campaign with different mailers?
Yes.
You have a video for that, right?
I did the video.
Can you find the link
Yep.
and send it to me? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Chris Monroe, representing STL. How you doing, Chris? It says, is that half off for enterprise package deal credits as well? So it's not, so you can get the Mailer Pro add-on when you're on the enterprise plan. So enterprise deal credits are 80 cents, I know. The Mailer Pro add-on brings them down to 49 cents. It becomes worth your while if you're sending more than 162 pieces on the enterprise plan. So if your enterprise, slightly different economics there, it'll still bring it down to 49 cents. It'll be worth your while if you're sending over 162 on the enterprise plan. And then Brandon Dukes says, does the ballpoint pen marketing send over 21 days like the postcard? And so it's all up to you. It's in your control. And so just to answer your question, in the app, you can set how often you want those pieces to repeat.
You're welcome, Steve.
Okay, Jesus says, why can't we change the font on the letters? Is that something that will be worked on? So in terms of the ballpoint letters, they're written in cursive, and it's just one cursive setting. The seller doesn't know what your handwriting looks like, so it's just one cursive font for everyone, right? That makes sense. Does DealMachine offer a route for vacant properties as pinpoints? So we don't show you where the vacant properties are on the DealMachine app yet, anyway. If you want to request that feature, I'm going to give you guys a link.
And we do look at these. I monitor them.
There it is. It's a dealmachine.featureupvote.com where you can submit feature requests. And you, like Lee said, we do build those. So if you look, the top voted ones are stuff that we've been knocking out. So let's keep going. Okay, Eric Rickner says, will additional variables be added to the template maker? So it sounds like you want to say in the postcard, like the sale date. That's a really cool idea, Eric. I haven't heard that before. Have you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, would definitely appreciate if you would put that into feature upvote so we don't forget it, so that we can maybe see about building that. That'd be awesome. Okay, we answered this one already. Brandon Duke says, how much are closing costs normally? So typically, closing costs can incorporate a lot of things, but your like title work and the attorney fees would be about $1,000 or less, just for that particular part, which is usually the bulk of closing. If you're working with like an investor friendly attorney to get those things closed. is there an annual price for the Ballpoint mailer? No, the Ballpoint mailer is just 3 deal credits. When you have the Mailer Pro add-on, which is $50 a month, it brings the deal credits to 49 cents each.
Michael Buckles, I see you a lot on our Facebook group.
That's right. Definitely appreciate the interaction there.
Yes.
When marketing to pre-foreclosure properties, how often should we send a Ballpoint letter with a 90-day foreclosure? Send a piece of mail as soon as possible. If it's got a 90-day window, I mean, every week for a month, it would be probably what I would do to start out there. You might just want to call them if you know it's a pre-foreclosure. In my experience, though, those people can be very gentle when you're communicating with them because they're in a very tough situation. You know, their house is potentially going to be taken away, assuming that they know about it. They probably know about it because a lot of investors probably send them a lot of mail and calls. And so they can be like mad. They're like, you investors just take, you know, you're making money off of our bad situation. Really be prepared when you get on a phone, write that to understand where they're coming from and to let them know that, yes, your family does make money, you know, by purchasing homes and renovating them. And you can also help them out of their situation by preventing them from having that foreclosure on their record, you know, and preventing them from getting a home in the future, and to perhaps give them, you know, additional money on top of whatever you purchase it for, you know, to help them get back on their feet. So just be ready that those people, you need to be very gentle when you're communicating with the pre-foreclosure owners.
Can you post the feature up the link again? Someone says they can't see it.
Oh, really? It's right here. I'm trying to just copy. Do you want to read one? My eyes are kind of getting cross-eyed.
Will there be a replay? I missed most of it because of my time zone. I do believe if the recording does work, we will be sending it out.
Yeah, I think we'll double check it once we close this down. We can make sure it worked okay.
Jerry and Marketplace Rio said yes to the webinars. That is so exciting. That is something we've been working on to put together for just you guys. I know that starting with the app can be a little overwhelming, and sometimes we get in those slumps. So we're hoping these will kind of help give new ideas, and by getting a lot of influencers that have been doing a lot in the investment industry can help out.
Anthony Castillo says how to calculate repair costs.
That's another one on here. Yeah.
You know, I just personally struggled with that when I was starting out. So I get it.
There is a video on our YouTube page.
Oh, there is?
Mm-hmm.
We did a video about that?
You did a long time ago.
Can you find that for me?
I most certainly can,
okay.
David.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
After these messages.
But basically, I think in that video, I might mention this book as well. There is a book, and it's written by Jay Scott. It's published through Bigger Pockets. It's called The Book on Estimating Rehab Costs, I believe. And I think you can download it as a PDF. I think it's $20 or something like that. And I don't really refer to it anymore because it kind of gave me like a foundation. You know, you kind of understand what things cost in your market after you do a few properties. But to get started, I think it's a great starting point to help you through that. Oh yeah, let's do a contest winner. So at the very beginning of this call, we did a contest, and we said whoever guesses the closest is going to win some free DealMachine swag. I saw it go up to 175.
Holy crap.
That's the highest that I saw. So Ryan Duxie was the closest. He said it was 190, but Eugene Park said it was going to be 160. Eugene, are you still here? There he is. All right.
Eugene, can you send us a message through the app chat and say, because it'll be AJ and Joy responding, just say that you're Eugene. It'll say you're Eugene, but just tell them about this. Yeah, we'll send you a link to get some free DealMachine swag from the DealMachine swag store. Woo! Great. I don't see any more questions. Really appreciate you guys joining us.
Elise, can you just close us out with some words of wisdom or inspiration?
Well,
not to put you on the spot there.
Guys, I see day in and day out people who, gosh, you guys are so sweet. You guys are an inspiration to us. And I know that sometimes it's super difficult and super hard, but like Ryan said, it is, just a slow and steady race. It is not a quick thing. So just keep at it, keep adding those properties. I see the numbers going up with you guys. I see our Hall of Fame growing. Just keep it going. Keep that drive going. And if you need inspiration, message us in chat. We're not just here to ask questions. I love spitting out inspiration and letting you guys know that we're cheering you on, because I want everyone to have an interview with David to tell him, tell us, tell everyone how you got your deal through DealMachine and how you're going to scale your business. I want just all of you to be TED Talks everywhere, REI conferences everywhere. You guys talking about it. We believe in you.
Thank you.
Drop the mic.
Bye, guys. We'll see you on the next webinar. Hopefully, Ryan will be able to do another one.
Oh, yes, gratitude. Sorry.
Gratitude will change your attitude.
That's
from
that.
Mark Boyd.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.